From its reveal to the current state of the game today, Destruction AllStars never really stood a chance. Released a little fanfare, competition from a ridiculous onslaught of live service games, and little to no promotion, Destruction AllStars suffered from mismanagement and was quickly forgotten. This is the tragedy of Destruction AllStars. Destruction AllStars is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. In fact, it is the first original exclusive to the console. It's a vehicular combat game developed by Lucid Games, a developer who by that point already had an established relationship with Sony on many past projects. Players pick from a colorful, diverse cast of fun characters, each with their own special abilities. But what makes Destruction AllStars stand out within the genre is its mix of on-foot traversal and car combat. Players will need to be switching vehicles if they want to survive in a variety of game modes set in different arenas full of obstacles and hazards. It's a very welcoming game for a casual audience. There's no strategy needed, its controls are easy to pick up on, and practically anyone can jump into the game and play. Ultimately, there are a number of factors that attributed to the downfall of Destruction AllStars. The game was first revealed alongside the PlayStation 5 in PlayStation's The Future of Gaming show in June 2020. And as someone who watched the livestream, not many people were interested when Destruction AllStars popped up. But then again, I could say the same for Returnal, another brand new IP from Sony. From the live chat, most would question why Destruction AllStars wasn't a brand new Twisted Metal game, and the rest simply said it looked like shit. So right from the beginning, Destruction AllStars didn't have people excited for the game. The game was planned to be a PlayStation 5 launch title next to the other first-party exclusives of Sackboy: Big Adventure, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and the remake of Demon's Souls. Out of the entire first-party lineup, Destruction AllStars would have been the only original PS5 game not connected to an established series, also appearing on the PlayStation 4 or being a remake. Destruction AllStars was set to release at $69.99, like the rest of Sony's first-party lineup, a huge departure from the industry standard price of $59.99 that many of us were used to for a long time. And this spike in price caused controversy we're still seeing today. But a decision was made that may have helped the game, but may have also harmed it. In October 2020, weeks before the game's November launch, Destruction AllStars would be delayed to February 2021. For 2 months, the game would be available exclusively to PlayStation Plus subscribers. Anyone who originally pre-ordered the game digitally through the PlayStation Store or physically at any retailer would be fully refunded for their purchase. It's likely this decision was made after live service games like Rocket League and Fall Guys saw immense success when launching through PlayStation Plus, amassing a large player base. We can assume Destruction AllStars was altered to act like a free-to-play game after this decision. The game's original trophy list, the developer trophy list that you can see on PSN profiles, has slight variations with a couple trophies dealing with character challenges, as if the game would have originally launched with these included. Using this delay to their advantage, the game was promoted through a State of Play livestream and further discussions on PlayStation blog posts, but none of this really added to the hype of the game. On release, Destruction AllStars received mixed reviews. The game's main idea and take on vehicular combat were praised, however its lack of content and microtransactions were frowned upon. Surprisingly, even Twisted Metal's creator David Jaffe enjoyed the game, rating it a 7 out of 10 on his YouTube channel. But public reception online was worse, with many calling it one of the worst PlayStation games of all time. Once the 2 months of Destruction AllStars on PlayStation Plus ended, April would see the game put up for sale digitally on the PlayStation Store with a physical release for $20 alongside a digital deluxe edition for $40. If you purchased a physical version brand new, included was a voucher to redeem 4 character story challenges, while the digital deluxe edition included access to 8. Those released at the time and whatever few were coming up. Interestingly enough, when the Digital Deluxe Edition was first advertised, there was no inclusion of the 8 character challenge stories in the bundle, assuming once again that they were originally part of the game. But when Destruction AllStars was reintroduced after its delay, the Digital Deluxe Edition now featured them. This was another issue, having to pay for single player content. Each character challenge, at least what was available, would have to be purchased in-game with in-game currency that could be purchased with real money or earned by playing online. I often like to think that if Destruction AllStars was still among the PS5's launch lineup, it could have been like a knack situation. Launch games will typically sell more, either because there's a lack of next-gen games, or people wanting to pick up those next-gen games because that's why they bought the console. Knack is an infamous PS4 launch game. Not the best, not the worst, but very forgettable and not really the best way to introduce the PS4. However, the game sold ridiculously well at around 2 million copies because it was part of the PS4's launch lineup and even a packing game in some regions. Of course, during this time, access to PlayStation 5 consoles were very limited because of a certain pandemic. Really, it wasn't until late 2022 when people could easily walk into a store and pick up a console. To get one in those early days, you either had to sign up to receive an invite from PlayStation Direct, go through a lottery system, or be in the know on where and when to pick up one. So releasing the game on PlayStation Plus could have been a wise move, but delaying the game also made the game from making whatever impact it could have made on the PlayStation 5's launch when everything was fresh and people were excited for the new generation. Though removing or having a lack of content for a brand new IP isn't the way to go. As any live service game goes, there's usually a roadmap of what to expect. Destruction AllStars was set to launch with 3 seasons players could look forward to throughout 2021. Originally set to launch in April, Season 1 Hotshots would launch in May and was supposed to last until July. It introduced a new character and story of a personal favorite of mine, Alba, a Destruction AllStars veteran out for revenge against the new cast of All-Stars. An All-Star Pass comprised of 100 tiers could be purchased for exclusive unlockables, photo mode was added, further character story challenges were released, and a new mode called Blitz would see 4 teams of 3 All-Stars battling it out with exclusive rewards for those who played. If you played Destruction AllStars during this time, you'll know that Season 1 lasted way longer than it was supposed to. Seasons 2 and 3 never happened and were never mentioned. Likely they were cancelled due to the severely decreasing number of active players, meaning Alba was the only new character ever added. Instead, throughout 2021, new cosmetics, game modes, and character stories were introduced, but nothing major to bring in new players or truly excite those already playing, though I personally couldn't complain on having a longer time on completing the All-Star Pass. It was in January 2022 when Destruction AllStars will get a major quality of life update. Taking in player feedback, there were things like new menus for clear navigation, a revamped HUD, visual effects for players' actions, improvements on rewarding players' actions in-game, training videos for newcomers, and the Season 1 Hotshots All-Star Pass would finally be ending, with news of a new pass supposedly coming at a later date. This is what Destruction AllStars needed, but unless you followed the game's official Twitter or Reddit accounts, no one else knew about it. It wasn't advertised through any of PlayStation's social media accounts and was a missed opportunity to let people know the game was still alive. However, in June of 2022, PlayStation would finally combine their paid services of PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into a new, larger PlayStation Plus program. Featuring 3 paid tiers, each tier features various perks. The second and third tiers, Extra and Premium, allows players to download games from a large catalog, one of them being Destruction AllStars for the PlayStation 5. Wisely taking advantage of this relaunch, Destruction AllStars will launch 3 6-week events: Rise, Unite, and Survive. Unlike Season 1, these were bite-sized with half the content in half the time. Each theme event had an All-Star Pass with 50 tiers, new community challenges and weekly challenges to unlock rewards, new game modes, and an overhauled Blitz mode where weekends turn competitive for prestigious exclusive rewards. Those who played Destruction AllStars anytime before the relaunch could claim a free Founders Pack reward from the in-game store featuring exclusive cosmetics as a thank you for playing. Character story challenges returned but weren't a major focus, with many characters still lacking their own story. PlayStation would reintroduce the game through a series of Destruction AllStars 101 series videos, breaking down how the game works and through a cinematic trailer. Judging by the comments, people were shocked to see the game still alive. Their minds were made up, and it wasn't in favor of Destruction AllStars. As Destruction AllStars would rotate through each event, the player base once again continued to dwindle. And not only that, the rewards were becoming less and less exciting, with too many reskins and recolors of outfits. Blitz mode became tedious. Most weekends we see the same group of players and parties who would always dominate each round. With Blitz having exclusive cosmetics, it often felt impossible to win. And with a lack of players, Blitz was practically dead or dying. Today, Blitz is inaccessible. Having no event happening means players can't unlock exclusive outfits for each character. It's a pretty shitty thing to do. While Destruction AllStars' second chance was a good sign for the game, any further word on the game would be met with silence. No further updates to the game or the in-game store, no new events, no word on the game from Lucid Games on their own social media pages, or from the official Destruction AllStars Discord, Twitter, and Reddit pages. At this point today, it's long been clear that Destruction AllStars is dead. But to have that confirmation, a final farewell, a thank you to the player base who stuck with the game for so long, would have been sad for fans like myself, but consider it for the time and money many of us spent on the game. I wouldn't even say everything is completely Destruction AllStars' fault. The live service gaming market is extremely bloated, and while new games continue to come out, it also seems to be on the down. Even with some pretty unique ideas, if you aren't something like Fortnite, Apex Legends, or Call of Duty Warzone, there isn't much wiggle room for other games to come in. Live service games want you to just play them all the time. Spend your cash and devote your time into these because nothing else should exist. A game like Apex Legends is extremely popular, but not popular enough for its mobile version, which didn't last long. Marvel's The Avengers, Knockout City, Rumbleverse, Crossfire X, all of these games tried and failed. It's a cutthroat market out there. While Destruction AllStars wasn't a free-to-play title, it was pushed like it was one, and maybe that was part of the issue. Destruction AllStars needed to be free-to-play. If you bought the game today, you would only have the arcade mode, with the rest being online and story packs that had to be purchased. Many people have said that the game should have been released on the PlayStation 4 and PC. While I can't really see the game running on the PS4 in the way that it should, the PC crowd may have helped, and it wouldn't have been shocking to see. PlayStation have been slowly bringing their newer games to PC players. Since Sony charged money for Destruction AllStars, even if it was less than the original price, the game needed a bigger focus on offline gameplay. This is a game that could have had the perfect balance of online and offline. I get a game like Destruction AllStars having a major focus online, but the game also alienated itself from the single player crowd. Story content should have been included on launch, or at least have been released for free through updates, consistent updates for every single character. These stories have some plot connections, and it would have been nice to see how these were resolved. New modes introduced for online could have been added to the arcade mode, and at least 2-player split screen would have been perfect. Underneath its flaws, Destruction AllStars really is a solid game, especially since its quality of life updates, but it's also a game that didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know how it wanted to present itself. It didn't have a focus on consistent content for the live service game it was made to be. Ultimately, it's a game that never stood a chance from the moment it was announced. People's minds were made up. They didn't want it, and if they did, they wanted weapons mounted onto the cars, turning it into a completely different game that it isn't, Twisted Metal. And the game's delay and launch didn't help. Despite its focus for online, more offline modes would have been beneficial because when the servers inevitably shut down, who's to say the in-game shop will be available? Meaning all those outfits, emotes, and most importantly, character stories could be gone. A paid game like this should have enough offline content to remain functional, enjoyable, and playable for years to come. Destruction AllStars should be a lesson learned for Sony. It's like the game was treated as one giant experiment of what not to do. Sony has a large number of live service titles in development, and the key to staying afloat is to be consistent on content. It's a growing, crowded market for live service games, and you have to try to stand out, promote, and get players excited. What makes me want to continue to play your game for the long run? I would love to recommend Destruction AllStars. I mean, I have only talked about the game a number of times on my channel, but with the game in its current state today, it's very hard for me to say you must play this game. No new updates and a severely low number of active players that even with the later addition of bots, doesn't mean you'll easily find a match. There's nothing to be excited for. Destruction AllStars is a tragedy that deserved better. So, have you played Destruction AllStars? Did you enjoy it? Do you think Sony and Lucid Games could have done a better job at supporting the game, promoting it, and maintaining communication? Let me know your thoughts on Destruction AllStars in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe for future content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.